Woo! I almost got like the kiss of death from Facebook just now because you can't schedule something and then not actually start it because they get mad at you after 5 minutes and they start like kicking you out. So that's pretty craptastic. But so I'm excited because I went on our Marketing with Purpose, our nonprofit Facebook group, and I said, "What do you guys want me to talk about today?" And they said that they wanted me to talk about nonprofit website must-haves. And so I wrote up an outline and everything, and I'm going to go over nonprofit website must-haves for like the next 20 minutes or so. Alrighty, so let's get started. So welcome to Marketing with Purpose. My name is Monica Pitts, and today I am going to go over the things that your nonprofit website must have. So I'm going to go over things like having a clear mission stated, making it easy to use, having a story-focused content, making sure that you have your services get involved or ways to give pages in order. I'm also going to talk about your donate page. We need to talk about things that you update regularly, and its load time is also super important. So let's start at the top, your mission. So your mission must be clear. That's the number one thing for your nonprofit website. Because when people go to your website, they need to know what you're talking about in seconds, not minutes, but seconds. Not just like, here's our mission, because sometimes your missions just aren't clear. And I'm not saying this to be mean, guys. I've read a lot of them in the past few days as I've been reviewing nonprofit websites. And I just have to say that there's a lot of times that I read it and I'm just really not sure what you do. I know that this lovely language that you're using seems very professional and polished, but I want like the dumbed down, can't mistake it for anything else mission. I know that this gets very difficult when you do lots of things. So I wanted to show you a few examples of some websites that are actually like, doing a pretty good job of this. And then I'll show you a few that maybe are not doing as good of a job of this. So, all right, what did I do with that? All right, I lost myself now. I'm sharing my screen right now so you guys can see this. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over here, share. And now I'm going to pull up. Sorry, I should have been a little more prepared. It might have been because I was late, right? All right, so this was one that I looked at and I thought, you know what? Well-being, social, and economic resources. Okay, so that is a very, very simple mission, right? Telling me what they do. However, I feel like I still don't quite know what they do. Well-being, social, and economic resources for who and how? So this is a very simple mission, but I feel like it needs a little bit more to it. Now I came over here and I gotta tease these guys a little bit. Heather, this thing has been loading for like the whole time. What's happening here? Anyway, so their mission isn't until down here. And I feel like it needs to move up. And while this isn't a super short mission, it does a really good job of telling me what they do. So they help stabilize low-income families and individuals in Boone County by providing resources for basic and emergency needs in the areas of health, employment, education, and housing so they can overcome economic hardships and maintain self-sufficiency. I know what that means. Like, hats off to you, VAC. I know what your mission is. Thank you. Now I just feel like we should move it up on the page so that way it is unmistakable at the top. Now, another one that I was looking at over here, so helping families overcome financial obstacles to adoption. So this is a mission. I definitely see it. It's nice and short. But when I was on this website, I wasn't sure whether these people just gave money to anybody or whether they were like, it's actually like a fundraising site for families who need to raise funds for their adoption. But I didn't get that until I like read the actual Our Families stories. So those are some examples of missions that maybe need to be expanded on, missions that, could maybe use a little bit of extra work. And then there was another one too that, man, this website is so incredibly good looking. I'm going to find it for you. I love this website. This thing is so good looking. Love it. Okay. What I don't love about it is the fact that I have no idea what they do. I didn't. I had to read and read and read. And then everything in it is actually written at a reading level that is very, very financially specific. So while the acumen.org website is beautiful, I'm not 100% sure that they hit the mark on sharing their clear mission. And so that kind of leads me into the second point here, which is that we need to make sure that we have creativity and content that is story focused. So actually, no. Let me flip back for a second. Let's go back to easy to use, because I'm here and this website, easy to use, right? Okay, so first thing, easy to use. A website has to be easy to use on a phone, right? So all of the stuff on the phone needs to work like it would on a desktop. So one example of this is, and you're going to have to go into the individual pages of your site to actually look at this and make sure that you have kind of dug in and that's working. So this website here, roomtoread.org, when you go into this page, literacy and girls education, you'll see this is pretty cool. You know, they've done a good job of sharing information in a way that makes that page not super, super long, and I can dig through it. But then when I look at this page on a mobile device, which this is what I'm emulating here. Now, imagine you're on your phone. All the stuff changes down here. That doesn't really work. I didn't even know if something changed there, right? So that is not a good example. It is a cool way to put the page together, but it's not necessarily a great example of easy to use. If it's going to be easy to use, it has to be easy to use on a phone and also on a website or in a desktop device. Now, also, I really feel like your mobile menu should be reserved for mobile traffic. So let's look over here at Acumen again. So they have this mobile menu over here. I don't know why they have the mobile menu. I don't get it. Like, guys, I love your site. I don't get it. Like, what is all this stuff over here? And why isn't it up here? And it probably is up here too. So why do we need it over here? Like, I don't understand. I really don't. So I think that this makes this website complicated, but maybe I'm not in their target market and I'm not smart enough to use their website. I don't know. Okay. Also, I feel like to make the website easy to use, we need to have these drop-down menus, right? So that way we can get to the internal parts of these sections. Now you'll notice that I just clicked on fellowships on this site and it didn't take me anywhere. I don't like that. It should take me someplace. It can take me to the About page, but it should take me someplace because people are regularly clicking on this, and depending upon what user interface you're in, like if you're on a tablet, then you click on it and it expands this. Anyway, not a fan. So this is an example of not awesomeness, but like I said, it's beautiful. And other things we need to think about are making sure that links feel like links, they look like links, and buttons look like buttons and feel like buttons. You don't want to have things that look like links but aren't links, because then people click on them and then they feel not very smart because they don't work. And I mean, I totally did that over here. There's a story, and down at the bottom on updates, she had underlined something. This is a good example of it. This is not a link. This is just somebody underlined something, but I thought it was a link, right? And I'm like, click, 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 and it doesn't work. And that's what people do whenever you underline stuff that's not linked. So we don't want that, right? Your information needs to be logically organized. And like this up here, see this navigation? It needs to always be there. It shouldn't go away. So like when I go to join the Revolution page, it shouldn't change. See, I'm still on the same site, but the whole navigation changed. That does not make sense. At first I got here and I was like, how do I get back? And maybe I click here. Yeah, okay, so that takes me back. So these are the things that we need to think about in our website to make sure that it's easy to use. Our donors are not all millennials. They're not all people who have used websites their entire life. So making sure that the website is easy to use both on mobile and on desktop, that the navigation is standard and functional, boom. So that's number two. So number one is your mission must be clear. And number two, it must be easy to use. Now, this is where I was trying to bridge the gap between like content and easy to use and clear. So okay, this is the last time I'm going to pick on this awesomeness, right? So I was reading this website and I was like, well, what is patient capital? And so I started reading this. And by the time I got done with this paragraph, I was like, holy cow, what reading level is this at? And I realized it was made for financial planners and people who are like investors and not for people like me, apparently, because I'm like, man. And so it would be really nice if they did actually write the content on this site for someone like myself to enjoy, maybe, because I think it's such a beautiful site. But so make sure that you're writing to your target market. Maybe their target market really is investors and they're not people like me. But I really chewed through that text and I still, by the end of that, paragraph had no clue what we were talking about. So not what I was looking for there. Okay, so mission must be clear. It must be easy to use. Okay, so then creativity and content, right? So we need to have a story-focused site. Now, a story-focused site has a couple of components to it that are going to be telling. Telling you like that. So the first thing is that when you look at it, when you look at any of these websites that that I was looking at earlier, it looks like somebody put some serious time and thought into making this site. It looks like somebody really thought about it. And I think that that's, for the smaller nonprofits, I realize that it's hard because you don't have a big budget, but you can, really think through your site and make sure that it's easy to use for sure. I don't want a website that looks like everybody else's site out there. Now I say that, but I mean, look, where's their navigation? It's up at the top. Where's their navigation? It's up at the top. Where's their navigation? It's up at the top. Where their navigation is up at the top, right? Okay, so there's some things that we don't want to give up. Like, don't just hide your navigation someplace at the bottom of the site. That's not what we're trying to do. But all these websites have their navigation up at the top, so that's good. But you'll notice that they all feel different and they have like a different look and feel to them. Now, when I say story-based content, one website that I feel like is a local website, they do a great job of this. And it's not just because they're my clients, because I don't write any of this content, but when you go to the Coyote Hill website and you look at just this video, even this video tells a story, right? And you're getting an idea of what it's like to be a child in Coyote Hill. And it feels normal. It feels fun. It feels like a place where I want to go hang out. And that's awesome, right? Because that's what we want it to feel like for a kid in a children's home. Now, they also do a good job because they have their blog where they tell stories from different people's perspectives. So they have their home parents, they're telling the stories. Sometimes Larry tells a story. He is the founder. Sometimes the kids are telling stories. So there's always these stories that they're telling, and that comes across really, really well. Now, the other thing that I like about this website is they don't have stock photos. And a lot of these websites, they don't have stock photos. These guys do a great job here of telling the story because they're using all regular photos. And I like how, some of them are done by a professional photographer, but a lot of them are just normal shots that you see in everyday life. And that tells you the story of what's going on a lot better than some stock photo, right? We don't know those people in stock photos. We want our viewers to be motivated and involved through the stories and other rich content. And then we want these stories to be disseminated throughout the site in the right places. And I'll talk about that in a second. So the other thing that I noticed as I was reviewing websites yesterday is that, so here's a website that has lots of pictures in it, But the thing I kind of felt like I was missing here, guys, is that I'm going to the zoo to build memories with my family. I'm taking my kids to the zoo because I want to build memories with my children. I'm there because I want to be with them, not for the animals. And very, very seldom do they ever have humans in their pictures at the zoo. And I feel like they're missing an opportunity of telling that story, right? Because, I mean, the people's faces when the dolphins jump in the air, you know what I mean? And when that, when the camels come up to the uh, the fence, like those things, that's why we're there, right? And so they miss the mark. While they have beautiful photography of all of these animals, they didn't tell me the story that I need to see. They had the back of this kid's head, and this is one of the only people that you like see in most of the site. Now, I'm picking on them. It's a beautiful site, and I did talk about how it was beautiful. But there, see this picture? Winning. There's the giraffe. Isn't that cute? Okay, so I'm picking on them, and maybe I shouldn't have picked on them so hard. But I think definitely pictures of people, right? And I don't think that you should limit it to just photos. When you can have videos that can speak really loudly, and you don't have to have videos that make noise. You can have videos that make a moment, kind of like these guys have their homepage video that, and so does Coyote Hill. They're just these moments in time, these very, very normal moments that we feel all the time. This is, you know, how often have you walked hand in hand with your spouse? You do it all the time, right? And these families are just like you. They just want another baby and they can't have one on their own. And so that's the story that they're telling through this, and they've done a really good job of it without noise, and it's just a background, right? With some words over it. So you don't have to have like super, super fancy videos to get a point across. All right. So the next section of must-haves for a nonprofit website, we said you have to have a clear mission, it has to be easy to use, you need to be story focused. Okay, so then you need a section on your website that is consisting of pages that meet your multiple target markets and tell them what they need to know. So I know that as nonprofits, you don't just have people that you're selling to, right? Like a business is like, okay, I'm selling to you. But a target market for a nonprofit is it's more complicated, right? Because you have not just the people that you serve, you also have the people who donate, so you can serve those other people. You might even have volunteers, and you might have to talk to them all in different ways. And so each one of those target markets has specific questions and they have specific needs. And so each one of those would be addressed on a page of your website. So they would each have their own page. You need to have over 200 words of content on each one of the pages. Don't short them. So I will go back over to, nope, not these guys, because they have so many programs, right? So when we even, I mean, look at all these programs that they have. They have Head Start, they have Bridge, they have Emergency Assistance, yes. And then they have Get Involved, and see they have all these different pages underneath. This is how it should be. We want to have all these different pages. And Head Start has its very own page. And Head Start is a service that they have. And they talk about why they do this. So they did a good job right here in explaining this. The only thing that I feel like that they're missing here on this page would be some type of testimonial, or, I mean, they do have a photo, which is really good, but if they had some type of testimonial or a story or some type of proof, that's good. Because even though you built this page for the people that you serve and you did not build it for your donors can look at this page too, and they need to see their proof here. Now, outline the need and the benefits, especially on your volunteer pages. So let's check out Get Involved here, volunteer opportunities. Let's see how that is. See, they have a quote, but it's from Martin Luther King. I wish it was from somebody who actually volunteered. And here's a volunteer application, and I like that it's actually on the page, so that's very good. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to like pick on you. But yeah, so if I were to improve something about this page right here, I would have a video or a testimonial of an actual volunteer that volunteers for the Central Missouri Community Action Center, because that brings it around and it brings it home. And then they have a form to allow people to contact, donate, or reply. So they're there. They almost made it. So they got like, 4 out of 5 points in this section of their site. So think through the things that people need to know when they come to your site. Think through your different audiences, your different markets, and then you're going to create sections for each of them. Okay, think of this in 2 ways, right? So when people come to your website, either they know what they want or they know who they are. So here, they're allowing people to see that. So this website, I'm going to pick on it a little bit now because they only have people who know what they want. You either need to get involved or you need to get help, right? But let's say, and they do have a lot of these programs here. So when I look through these, I know what Head Start is, but it's only because I heard about it in my Rotary group. Okay. But what would be great, what would be super, super great is if it said families with young children. Okay, so I am a family with young children, and then I might be able to then be shown the things that apply to me. I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think these guys might do a good job of this. So families and individuals, employers. So there are 2 different pieces here. They have families and individuals that they serve, and they serve them in this way. And then they have employers that they serve, and they serve them in this way. Now, they could have just had services, right? They could have just done services on their website. But instead, they decided, you know what? No, we've got a target market who's going to come here. They don't necessarily know what they want. They only know who they are. And so they decided to have a spot for families and individuals to come. So, yay. This is a fun website. I got to help build it. So maybe I'm proud of it, right? Okay. Let's see. So let's look at the next thing on our list. And I have to pull it up here. Meep, meep, meep. All right. So we need to have those services, get involved, ways to give pages, right? All right, so let's talk about our donate page because all of these websites need to have a donate page. Well, I say that. Yeah, I mean, they all do. Even the ones that are selling products or services as a nonprofit they all have donate pages. Now, your donate page should, let's see, does it meet the mark? All right, so donate, give to ACT through our reach out program. How do they support us? That's good. Okay. And then there's different ways to donate. I like this. You can do check, you can do credit card, you can fill out the form. All right. Well, this is pretty good. So the thing that this donate page is missing is maybe that testimonial or the video, that very specific ask, right? So this is asking for donations for a general fund. And so it makes sense that it's like this. Now, when I was over here and I was looking at the support zoo page, I'm going to pick on the zoo again because I don't know them. But so I click on make your mark. Now, it took me to another website and it does not look like the zoo, does it? I mean, it's got a picture, and if I know the zoo, then I know that this is them. And so here I am. This is not ideal, guys. We don't want this. We want it to feel like I'm still on the zoo site. So it's a better idea. So let's go back over to the Voluntary Action Center. See how they framed this in? This is probably just a form from someplace else. And I'm sneaky because I know this because they have this little scrolly bar here. This is a way better idea than going over and taking somebody to another place that doesn't look like them. And this isn't like the worst styled one I've seen in the last few days, but I mean, it still is not the zoo, right? This does not look like the zoo. I went to another place and it doesn't feel the same. And it needs to feel the same. It needs to feel consistent, because what happens is when people go to that page and they get plopped over to another spot that doesn't look the same, there's this thing that goes on in their subconscious that says, abort mission, you can't trust this. We don't want that because we want them to donate to us. We can't, we need to remove all barriers, right? So we want it to stay consistent. Now, one website that did a really nice job on their donate page. So you go to Our Families and I mean, you can click on donate over here, but most of the time the donations are going to happen through here because this is kind of like a crowdfunding site, right? So you come over here and it says give to this story. I love this because it is a different color and it like jumps out at me. So it did a good job there. And then it says give to this story again. See, it's at the top, it's at the bottom. Like, don't be afraid to ask multiple times here. And then if I click on give up to this story, see how it just like overlays over the top of the page? That's pretty cool. They allow me to make a one-time donation, a monthly donation, pick the amount. This is good. So the reason that this is good is because their story is right here. They gave me the reason and the very specific ask that they are making for me to donate. And then they give me my donation form right away. This is awesome, right? Another website that I also liked that did an okay job of this, I have to say. Let me see if I can find them up here. Boop. So at the bottom of every single page, they have a donation form on this website. And I think that's good too. I like that they have a donation form at the bottom of every page. But when I go to the donate page, okay, so there is something good about this donate page. There's something less good about this donate page. So they took me to another site, but look, I still have the logo up in the corner. That's good. I feel like I know I'm in the right place, right? The other thing that I really like is they have said very loud and clear, there is a matching gift available. So if you give right now, it will be matched by MetLife Foundation. This is good. We want this, right? Because when I first saw this yesterday, I won't lie, I thought about donating. I was like, wait a second, no, girl, you are reviewing websites. You do not need to be donating to websites. But I really thought about it because that is cool. So they did a good job here. Now, I wish it would have been on their website. And the other thing that I wish that they had done here is, and I wish that they had done throughout this website, is let me meet the people that are receiving their services. So there's not a lot of places where they talk about the kids that are receiving their services on this website. And I want to see their journey. I want to see how it made a difference in their life. I want to know that the money that I'm giving will support that mission and that it will help girls and children, you know, learn how to read and be educated. Okay, so this is an okay version of a donation form, but I don't like this one as much. All right, so there you go. Now you have my opinion on the donate pages. So the other things that we want to make sure that we have on our donate is, you know, obviously attractively and creatively displayed, allowing the people to choose how they give, and just accepting that seamless branded online donation. That's what we're trying to do on the donate page of our site. All right, so another thing that your website has to have is it has to have something that you update regularly. You're going to do this for a lot of reasons. One is because it is going to fuel your marketing. It is the big bad mamma jamma of awesomeness. You always want to keep feeding things into your website and having conversations with people that you want to meet. Now, it's interesting because a lot of the times people just blog about what's going on in their organization and you know what they've done with the donations. These guys actually did a really good job, and I'm sad that it hasn't been updated more recently. But but follow me here. I love that they have really taken us through the things that we need to think about if we're adopting, right? So a birth mother's story, life after placement, what does it look like? Because there might be people that are wondering. Honoring the spirit of the adoption decision, multicultural hair care for adoptive families, 5 tools you can't live without. Okay, so this is smart because we only know how to take care of our own hair, right? I don't know how to take care of everybody's hair. I'm not a hairdresser. Well, sometimes I like to play one, like at home, but I'm not really a hairdresser. Why cultural competence matters in adoption. Yeah, so these are all things that are relative to what they're doing as an organization, but they're not just about, here's the difference that we made. And the reason that you want to have a good mix of that content is because you want to share with people, okay, here's the difference that we made. And then you want to say, hey, new person who's concerned about this, maybe I could meet you online and start making friends, right? So I'm trying to think of like a perfect example about this, but let's say that you are a women's shelter, okay? And what you do is you take in and you protect and you give basic needs services, and you're going to do a blog. So your blog can't be about, well, Sally came in and we helped her, right? Because you have to protect Sally's identity. But you can blog about things that Sally cares about and that Sally's family cares about. And that's ways that you can meet Sally's family before Sally ever needs you, and to meet donors that have like values to yours. So you might talk about what a conversation might look like if your friend is in an abusive relationship, or the average amount of time that someone stays in an abusive relationship before they leave. So there's all kinds of different things that you can talk about. How to introduce the idea of a women's shelter to somebody who might need it. So you would blog about these topics so that way you can meet new people that you have not met before who have like values to yours. So these guys, while they haven't updated their blog in a while, have a lovely looking blog, and they've done a good job of finding content that is very aligned with their mission. So we need to keep updating our websites because we need to meet new people, because we need things to talk about in our own marketing. Like, let's be real. Sometimes, the conversations have to happen. And because we need to update our donors on what we're doing with their investments in our mission. Now, these things should not be hidden. They should be on the main navigation. So I love that this has a link right here to the blog. I think that there's a lot of people that have hidden it. For example, I'm going to pick on the zoo again. I just stopped picking on the zoo, even though I love the zoo. Okay, so their blog is down here. I didn't find it down there though, guys. Like, the way that I found it was, I was like wandering through and I'm like, ooh, today at the zoo, what's going on? And then eventually I was like, and I just kept clicking around like all over the place until I saw like a featured post someday. I don't know. Like I said, I'm like trying to figure out how I even found it. Aren't these cute with their little things? Oh, zoo, you guys are killing it with this website. See, and I keep picking on you. But the deal is, I was looking for their blog and I couldn't even find it. And it's because it's down here in the footer. Your blog needs to be up at the top with the rest of the stuff in your main navigation. Don't hide it. It's an important part of your marketing. Now, if you don't have a blog, you can have success stories. These guys did a great job with success stories. They also have a blog. I've noticed that a lot of nonprofits now call it The Latest. I didn't know that. But I'm noticing this trend now. So apparently The Latest means blog. So their success stories are kind of nestled underneath companies. So let's say that you're not going to blog. You don't want to do that. You can have success stories that are regularly added to your website. And when I click on this, it tells me the challenge, the innovation, and the impact. Yes, this is a great example of a case study. It tells me what I was facing, what we did to overcome it, and how awesome it was at the end. This is very simple. It's a great recipe for every story that you tell. And these guys did a great job with it. So let's say that you don't want to have a news or a blog. You can have these awesome case study style things in your website. Great idea. And I love that they're sortable. They did a good job on this. But they shouldn't be hidden. It should be accessible through the main navigation. And they also should be shared throughout the site. So let's think about this for a second. Our websites went from being something that's pretty simple, right? We used to have websites that were just online brochures. And now we have websites that are actually meant to make people take action. They need to do something. What website does a really good job of making people do something? Shopping cart, right? So all the things that you can learn from a shopping cart site. I know I'm being silly, but I'm really not being silly. So the shopping cart site, when you're on certain areas of the site, it tells you to do stuff, right? It says click for more information. It says view related products. It says here's things that people have bought when they bought this. This is all to convince you to buy this. They are the new shoe salesman, right? The website is. So think about how you can do that with your own website. So let's pop back over to my friends Coyote Hill because we love them. And let's say that on the children's homepage, instead of having success stories here, they linked to some of those stories from their blog. And it had like 3 great stories down here. That would be awesome. I would really like that. And I'm sure Carrie's going to be like, Monica, why didn't you tell me to do that to begin with? And I'm going to be like, I'm so sorry, Carrie. But yeah, so I know it links to success stories, but imagine if you were on that shopping cart page and you were looking at pots and pans and you had to click on a button that says, view more things like this. Would you click it? I don't know. I don't think I would. Let's say you had to click on a page that told you the testimonials for that product or product reviews. Would you click on it? I don't know. Why make people click on it? Amazon doesn't make me click on it. It just tells me, right? So if you're wondering what your services pages should look like, go to Amazon and like take notes on how they're selling stuff on there. I know I'm not on the services pages, but what I'm saying is that content that you're updating in the site, whether it's the success stories or your blog or your news, that should come into the website and other places where people are to support the content and the story that you're trying to tell. So don't just leave it all housed out. A testimonial is only as good as the number of people that read it, right? So we need to get that testimonial in front of the right people at the right moment. And you do that by cross-referencing information throughout your website. So if you have, if you want to have testimonials for the foster care program, then you would just put them in and ask them to be referenced from the other place. I'm not going to get into that, actually. I think I'm going down a bunny trail, so I will stop. All right. So, yes, shopping carts. And, oh, man, last but not least, the things that you update regularly should be easy to update. Yeah, they should be easy to update because otherwise you're not going to do it and you can't trust someone else to do it for you. When I say that, if it's easy to update, you can trust someone else to do it for you. So there's a reason why we build all this content to be modular in these websites. And it's because I don't want to have my lead programmer updating all these websites. He's got to be programming other stuff, right? So it has to be built in such a way that anyone on my entire staff, even lowly me, can update any of these websites. And your website should be no different. You should be able to have anybody from your receptionist to the CEO update the darn thing and be able to put in a news post or a success story or whatever you need. Or it's not effective, right? It's not serving your needs. I know your website is to serve the people that you serve and to serve your volunteers and your donors, but it should also serve you and make your life easier. And if it doesn't, then it's not a very good website. All right, so we've got one more thing left, but I'm going to review the other ones before I go into the last one. So your mission needs to be clear. It needs to be easy to use. It needs to be story focused. You need to have a story / get involved / ways to give section. You need a section to talk to each one of your target markets. You need a good donate page. Things that you update regularly must be on there. And then last but not least, and do not overlook this one, my friend, your website needs to load quickly. So I went over so many websites yesterday, and there were so many that were so slow. It's like they didn't know that their website was supposed to load fast. It's like they didn't know that people were accessing their website from mobile phones, right? And it was going to take forever to load. We can't have that, guys. Your website has to load quickly. You expect people to take action on this website, right? It's like a shopping cart. Once again, we're trying to sell through this website, sell our story, get donations, get volunteers. And if it is slow loading, it means that people are just going to abandon it. They're not going to stick around and read what you have to offer. So An easy way to see if your website is loading quickly is to go out to gtmetrix.com and just put in your domain name and ask it to analyze your site, and it'll let you know if your website is loading quickly or not. What was crazy is almost all of the websites that I reviewed yesterday were getting a score of between like 40 and 50. If you got a test score of 40 to 50, would you be proud of yourself? I'm going with no, okay? So the only one that got a higher score was, I'm going to brag for a second, it was one that I actually built. So shout out to Coyote Hill again for your 88 to 94% on your load time. Yes, it just depends on what page you're on. But I mean, it's super important. I'm just going to say it one more time. You can't lose out on an opportunity because your website is loading slowly. So make sure that your website is optimized and it loads quickly. And that, my friend, those are the things that your nonprofit website must have. All right, so this was kind of a jumble, and I don't think it's actually going to make into a very good podcast, but I gave you lots of good examples to look at, right? So I'm probably going to re-record this right now so that it's much more streamlined for the podcast. So if you want to listen to it again, go on out to Marketing with Purpose, out on Apple, out on iTunes. We're out on all over the places, and you can listen to it there, or you can come over to my website, mayecreate.com/podcast, and you can listen to it there. And I will have a much more concise recording of nonprofit website must-haves. Until then, go forth and market with purpose.